Have you ever wondered, wow, how do I get a shot like that? We had a cheeky update today. It wasn't an announcement or anything like that, but the devs added a few features that are going to make this a heck of a lot easier. And you've probably noticed that there's been a bit of an absence. So I haven't posted any videos this year. In January this year, my wife and I had our first child, and babies take up a lot of time. So I've still been around working on projects, working on islands, and recently launched the battle pass with the Mars Cap Voyage community, and that's going to be phenomenal. But yeah, I'm here. I figured I'd make a video about this, and hopefully it helps you guys with some of your cinematic content, because in the event that we have some scripting soon, I think story is going to play a big role in making sure that you capture the attention of players. And there's no better way to, tell a story than through cinematics. So without further ado, let's get into it and learn about using these camera controls. Now, one thing I wanted to touch on before we really get into it is how we previously have done it. It's really hard on mouse and keyboard. As you can see, it's a bit janky, going left and right, up and down, because you're inputting a key. It's just 0 or 100. It's really hard to get smooth movements. A lot of players have used PlayStation controllers and other controllers to get smoother movements, and you can still use that. But here, if you don't have a controller, now you can utilize these commands. And first things first, you're going to want to press Grave, and Grave will open up the dev console. And if we clear, that'll get rid of all of this. And this is what it typically looks like when you've opened it. And you type in help, and that'll list off the dev commands you can use to help you in various ways. So the ones we're going to be looking at today are the bind command. It says binds a command to a specific keystroke. The cam, which is various ways to override camera controls. And we're going to be utilizing the UI command, so turning on and off the UI. So first things first, let's jump into bind. And here it gives you a list of what you can do in the bind commands. So if we type in bind check, it's going to ask us to press a key. So I'm going to press F7, and it tells us that the key code for F7 is indeed F7. So now we've got bind key code command, and we know that the command for UI off is indeed UI off, like that, and that'll get rid of your UI. And this is typically how you want to operate when you're recording your cinematics. So all you need to do is type in UI on, and that turns that back on. But it's rather annoying when you're recording a cinematic to constantly be typing that. So that's why we're going to bind that to a key. So if we type in bind key, and we're going to type in F7, and then UI on, it says assign command UI on to the F7 key, and we're going to go bind the F8 UI off, and that is going to bind UI off to the F8 key. So if I just exit out of that, I can toggle between my UI on and UI off with F7 and 8. Beautiful. So we'll turn that back on, and we'll head into the cam settings. So you type in cam, and it's got a list of all the settings here of all the inputs, and cam freeze does exactly as it explains. So it locks the camera in a position. So if we get to a spot where I can run a little bit more here, for instance, we go cam freeze, lock the cam right there. And the really cool part about here is we'll toggle off our UI. You can still control your character while the camera is like this. So you can really do some cool things with cinematics and have characters walking by or running by or whatnot, like that, freezing the camera. Yeah. To unlock the camera, we go, now UI back on, we go and unlock, and we are free to use our camera as we please. Now, if you find a really good shot, let's say, for instance, we want to do a low shot down here like this. Okay, we like that frame, and we're going to sort of capture the character going over the bridge. But you want to pan to this from another location. You enter the dev console and you go pan get. And what that does is it gives you the coordinates, the location and the rotation coordinates, and it copies them to your clipboard. So now that we've got them copied to the clipboard, let's say, for instance, we want to pan from up here to down in the river, and we just go and pan. Let's Control V. And then what we need to do here is we need to also add in our position smoothing, our rotation smoothing, and our distance smoothing. So essentially, the more you amplify that from 0 to 100, it will, with the rotation, it will sort of, if you turn it 90, then it's going to make the camera's rotation like harsher. So it'll basically just do a full U-turn. Whereas if you only make it something soft like 5, then that means that it'll be a lot more of a smoother rotate around to that position. And then with distance, I've been using distance 10, and I'm finding that to work pretty well for me. You can obviously, if you want to fast zoom, you can amplify that up, to 20, 100, basically moves it instantly. And then 1, on the other hand, will move rather slowly. So I'll show you here. We'll just go 0, 5, 10. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off our UI now, and then just press enter. And don't forget to press escape to get rid of the mouse. And you get that pan along there. Now, another nice utility of the cam commands is setting up a camera to follow along a pathway and having your character run along with the camera or just in front of the camera. It makes for a nice shot. So you want to find the final point of your shot, so the final frame, and I'm going to go with just on the other side of the bridge here, and get beautiful. And then I'll just pan and back here, drop my character there, and then go cam and 0, 0, 10, turn off my UI and press enter. Don't forget to press escape there, and then you can run along like this. Maybe not so fast that you outpace the camera, but as you can see, it just makes for quite the nice shot. So you don't have to have the camera locked to a certain distance behind the character there. Now, something that I haven't mentioned yet, but it's pretty common knowledge for a lot of people who have played for a while, but you can adjust the field of view. They've actually made this quite an accessible setting here in the video settings. So escape and scroll down to the bottom, and you can slide the field of view up or down like that. And as you can see, it's sort of bringing the camera in close when it's all the way down, or now it's really far, and it increases kind of what you can see on the left and right, bottom and top of the screen. And this is good for when you're PvPing, because it means that you can actually see a lot more around you. So you notice blokes like Zype, he does this so that he can see more and get more kills. Don't blame the bloke. Don't think he needs to, but don't blame him. But yeah, you can also change your field of view in the cam settings. So cam, and you come down the bottom here, it says cam FOV, so cam field of view. You can set the value from 1 all the way up to 1000, so we can give it a crack. But it's really after 150 it gets to a point where it's pretty unusable for any real cinematic shooting. So cam FOV, and I'll show you 150 what it looks like. even that, quite funny, but you can imagine you can actually get some really cool shots with something like that. Maybe not 150, but we can go just dial that in a little bit, and we can go and threes and lock the camera like this, toggle this, and you can almost look at this from a bird's eye view, or as you can imagine, it's like playing a MOBA. You can see the character from above. So I imagine when we have scripting, we could probably set it so that we can have player cameras set to certain fields of view, and that'll make for some really interesting gameplay. But that's sort of getting into another topic. I want to do a video about scripting when that drops. I think it's going to drop soon. If I were to have a guess, it's probably going to be within the next couple of weeks, maybe within the next week, I reckon. Next Friday sounds pretty good to me. But yeah, this is just about it on the topic of these cam settings. So just going to unlock this here. And yeah, I just want to say a big thank you for tuning into the video. I personally really appreciate it. Like I said, sorry it's been so long since I've jumped on the mic and had a chat to you, but I've been a little bit busy with that, and but I'm hoping to get back into the swing of things. It might not be as frequent as it was last year, but hopefully one a month. And there's lots to touch on, and I'm sure there's going to be even more to touch on when all of those new settings come out. So yeah, thanks for that. And hey, just a quick shout out to the Mars Cats and the team behind the Battle Pause, which I'm involved in with the other artists, D-Boss and Cancel Tech. You're probably familiar with those two. You're probably running around as a character that Cancel Tech has created. It's been an absolute blast putting this together with JB, Big Gun, Vitek, and the team. It's really exciting. It's probably one of the most unique things to happen in Nifty from a community-led perspective. So to all of you who are watching and who are involved, who have bought some, thank you. And, I recommend checking it out. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. But that's my little plug. Thanks again. And I will see you for the next video. Cheers.